Hi, thanks for dropping in. Hang around because this is a really good one. This is a Rode VideoMic NTG, and it's a very, very adaptable mic. It can be used on camera, it can be boomed, got a lovely shock mount. It can be even used as a USB microphone. But for this video, I'm just going to show it being used as an on-camera microphone. I think that's probably mostly the way people would want to use something like this anyway. In case you don't know these facts already, it's a supercardioid microphone with a variable gain on the back, and believe me, at 15 it gives a very strong signal. Via two buttons on the top, you can cut the gain to -20. You can have a safety track. You can have a high pass filter at 75 or 150 Hertz. And for those times when you've got a dead cat on the front, it's even got a treble boost. So in that respect, it's fairly similar to the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. But add to the VideoMic Pro Plus the fact that you can use this as a USB mic, and the other side, where the audio normally comes out, you can use this as a headphone socket to monitor it. So it's a very versatile microphone, to say the least. It has a great shock mount system, but this one now slides back and forth, so you can move the microphone a couple of inches forward or back. So that can be very useful for people, especially using DSLRs, when you don't want your forehead butting into the back of the microphone. So first of all, I'm going to test the Rode VideoMic NTG indoors. My front room is not great for sound, it's full of reverberation, but this microphone does a great job of pushing the reverberation down. It's very directional, and I really like that about it, and it makes audio indoors seem quite a bit better than some of my other microphones. And now I'm currently at a distance of about, I would say, 3 feet. I'm about 3 feet away from the microphone. It's not ideal to be 3 feet away from a microphone, but this does a pretty good job, as you can hear. And behind it is a window, and I've got hard walls, no wallpaper. And so for that reason, this room can sound a little bit over reverberant. Okay, now this is my voice about 10 feet away from the microphone. This is the kind of situation when you're at home and you want to film the family or something, and you can't set up microphones. You just want to get the microphone on the camera and capture what you get in the house. And that's when the audio can all go to pot because of reverberations and the sound of your room. Now this room is very poor for sound, and I'm very, very aware of that. It's got hard walls, no wallpaper, although I have got carpets and furniture in here, but it's not good for sound. And at 10 feet, I would always think, well, the sound is going to be quite compromised. So this is the sound of it 10 feet away. Now the spread of the microphone, if I go to the edge of the frame, I'm now on the edge of the frame, so I've moved right to the left by about 5 feet. And if I come back now into the front, I don't know if that's going to give you any differences in sound, but in this very reverberant room, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a little bit off in terms of quality, but it's actually better than a lot of other microphones that I use indoors. This room is dreadful for sound, honest to God, it's awful. Now I'm going to move away, and if I move away, I'm now right in the back of Beyond's, and I'm out in the hallway here. I'm over 10 feet away. And also I'm in a box, I'm inside a box with this doorway. So as I come closer, hopefully the sound will reflect the fact that I'm getting closer and closer, and it gets clearer, as you can probably hear, as I get closer. But this microphone does a pretty good job in a poor room, which means its rejection is very good. Now I am going to do a rejection test indoors, but bear in mind I am indoors and wall reverberations come into play, so it just depends where you are. 3 foot in front of the microphone. Now I'm going to start walking around, and I'm going to keep talking and talking. I'm going to try and stay at about 3 feet. That's why I've placed the microphone on the side now. I've placed the microphone in the middle of the room so I can comfortably walk around it. And I'm now going round to the back. Now when you get round to the back, because it's a supercardioid, then there may well be a slight boost on the back end, a slight, maybe a little bit more bassy, coming round to the other side, and hopefully the right hand side, 90 degrees to the other side now, is the same as the other side. Now I have found with the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus that the two sides actually sound different. If you go with the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus outside and you go on the left hand side and the right hand side and compare the tone, they're a little bit different with mine. I don't know why that should be. And I'm now coming round to the front and I'm back to the front again. So that gives you some idea of how this thing might be rejecting reverberations in the room and also voices and other things going on around it. So now I'm going to test out the filtering systems. At the moment, no filters, just a straight microphone as it works. That's the sound of the microphone. For this shot, I've put the 75 Hz filter on, so the high pass filter is switched in, but it's very low down, so it might not be affecting my voice. For this shot, I've got the 150 Hz filter switched in, so it's a little bit higher up. It may cut a little bit of that bass content off, which is useful for wind situations when you've got a lot of wind around. For this shot, I've boosted the treble. That's the sound of the microphone with the treble boosted. On top of the treble boost, you can also add the high pass filters. Now for this shot, this is the most trebly the microphone could probably be. I've got a treble boost going on and I've taken the bottom end out from 150 Hz. So I've got a high pass filter and a treble boost. So the curve of the microphone has gone a bit like that. Or sorry, that way round for you, isn't it? So there's a bit more treble and a bit less bass. That's the most trebly that this microphone could be. Now don't forget, on top of these features with the treble boost and the bass cuts, you can also reduce the ingoing volume by 20 dB. So there's a lot of facility there to play around with the sound. This is the Rode VideoMic NTG being used outside at a distance of about 3 feet. A little bit windy at the moment, but that's what you're going to get. It is actually quite sensitive to the wind as well, actually. I've got it in a dead cat, but it's quite sensitive. So that's from the front. This is 90 degrees to the side, so I'm now 90 degrees to the side. I'm now on the rear of the microphone. This is on the microphone 3 foot to the rear, and this is the microphone 3 foot to the side again, and coming back round to the front. Now bear in mind that it is actually quite windy at the moment here, and I can't get a break in the weather to get this film made, so I've come out with a breeze, but it'll give you some idea as to how this thing sounds outdoors with no wall reflections, and there's a little bit of traffic to the rear and to the side of the microphone. I'm now a little bit further away from the microphone, so that gives you an idea of how this thing sounds a bit further away. I would say I was about 20 feet or so away from the microphone. It's still a bit breezy, but at least you've got an idea of how this thing works at a slightly greater distance. I think for typical vlog shooting this is probably quite good because you've got it closer to you and the pickup is going to be a lot better. So this is being used quite close, and I'm using it typically as like a vlogging camera, although it's quite heavy because this is a full-size camera. I'm just holding it in front of me. But that gives you some idea of how it sounds when you've got the microphone closer outdoors. The microphone comes with a foamy and it's quite substantial. It's not bad at all, and it does a pretty good job in very, very low winds. But at the moment there is no dedicated dead cat for this microphone. Now, as you can probably see, it's a shorty, and if you get a dead cat, it's going to need quite a small one. In fact, it's a 10 centimetre stretch from there to there. Now, what I've found is two things that I can use which work pretty well, and the first one is to use this one, which is a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus thing. It's quite a nice plush one. They're quite expensive, unfortunately, I think, but they work really well. They fit with the foam on, so if you put the foam onto the microphone and then you fit that over the top, that's going to fit. This one has a little buckle at the back. So I have found that the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus will do for now, those covers. But there's another one that's made by Movo, and they're quite large, but they're not expensive. Now, this is the one that says for 10 centimetre microphones. I can't remember the model number. It's a WS, I think it's 110 or 20. It's not the 80. I don't think it's the 80. They're sold on Amazon. They're not fantastically expensive, and they look quite bulbous, and that seals the microphone in there. One last thing with this microphone is that it's very sensitive to loud sounds, You've got a thing that shows you if it's over-modulating on the input side, but even turning it to minus 20 dB, if you've got this thing really close and you speak directly into it, it can go into clipping, it can go too high. So it's a very, very sensitive mic, so you need to be careful of that. It's great on the camera, but it needs to be just a little bit further back, certainly if you've got a loud voice, because it's so sensitive. So to finish, this is an excellent mic. I love it in terms of the design and its sound. It's got a nice even timbre, and it's actually got very good rejection too with that supercardioid pattern. To me, for my voice, the sound is very natural, and actually I think I prefer it to the slightly thicker VideoMic Pro Plus. The Pro Plus by comparison I think is thicker and weightier sounding, but I think this is a little bit flatter. The VideoMic Pro Plus is a little bit cheaper than this one, but for the extra money I really think this is worth it, definitely. It offers great clarity in comparison to that VideoMic Pro Plus, so I would really, really recommend one of these. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but my goodness, they are good. I hope you liked the video. I hope this was useful to you. If you do, please click that bell so you'll get a notification for next time. Cheers for now.